My name is Frita Yuliati, and I would like to present my work on my PhD thesis entitled Synthesis and Application of Thermally Reversible Polymeric Networks from Vegetable Oils. Well, this is a bit about me. I've been living in Indonesia my whole life except for the time when I did my PhD in the Netherlands. I did it at the University of Groningen with my supervisor, Professor Francesco Piccioni and Professor Eric Harris. And now I'm working for the Agency for the Assessment and Application of Technology, and my lab is the Polymer Technology Laboratory. This is a little bit about my institution. The agency is owned by the government of Indonesia, and it has many units, and one of them is the lab I'm working in, the Polymer Technology Laboratory. Our main focus is service for polymer industries. We perform more than 500 orders per year, and among them I am involved in the consulting services where I do mostly failure analysis for plastic products. Back to the topic, and this is the background why I wanted to do the research. Well, if we talk about polymeric networks, or more specifically thermosetting polymers, they have nice network structure, so then we call them polymeric networks. The structure make them very superior in mechanical, thermal, and chemical resistant properties. But unfortunately, the same structure make it challenging to repair, remove, or recycle the materials. These are some applications of thermosetting polymers. The first application is for composite. And as we can see on the top left is a bridge made by composite from polymer and fibers. And then on the top right is adhesive used for electronics. And on the bottom left is car, which is coating can also be made by thermosetting polymers. But these applications are not without problems, because for example the composite can have micro cracks because of the different properties of the fibers and the polymers, and these micro cracks can grow undetected until they become failure. And then for adhesive, well, if the adhesive is very strong then it's good, but then if we want to recycle the electronic product, or if we want to replace one part, then it is impossible to do it without damaging the parts if the glue cannot be removed. And for coatings, well, we often find scratches on the surface of the coatings, and to fix that can be very expensive when we have to repaint the whole panel. Because thermosetting polymers conventionally cannot be recycled, then they can end up as waste, and we already have so much problem with that, and it would be nicer if we can recycle these materials. Those problems can be fixed by incorporating Diels-Alder chemistry into the structure of the polymer. The Diels-Alder chemistry, the bond is broken at high temperature and is formed at low temperature. So at high temperature we can process the polymers, while at low temperature we have the solid polymers. And there are some couples for the reaction, but the most studied Diels-Alder pair is furan and malamide. This is the furan, this is the malamide, and this is the Diels-Alder adduct. This pair is what I use in my research. So if we talk about sustainability, for example of thermosets, one popular one is epoxy. It is made of petroleum resources and it's not recyclable. So if we want to have something recyclable, we already have thermoplastics. But if we want to have something bio-based, then we can use bio-based thermosets. But if we can have something that is bio-based and recyclable, then we can really be happy about it, because from the sustainability point of view, this is very good. One of the bio-based raw material that is quite popular in the chemical industry is vegetable oils. It is abundant in the world and the price is quite low, and they have high functionalization possibilities. via the modification of double bonds and esters on the structure of the oils, and also sometimes we can find other functional groups. So this is the proposed synthesis route of my thesis. I use jatropha oil and sunflower oils. The jatropha oil has 3 double bonds, so theoretically this is enough to form a network, while the sunflower oil has average about 5 double bonds. So this is more than enough for formation of network. And then I epoxidize these oils to replace the double bonds with epoxide rings. And then I attach furan to the epoxide, but unfortunately there are some other reactions that can happen. So this structure happens if the furan reacts with both the esters and epoxide. This structure occurs if the furan is only attached at the ester side, but what I want is this one. So I want the furan to only attach to the epoxidized side. So if I get that monomer, then I can do the Diels-Alder reaction to get the polymer. So this is the first part of my research, furan functionalization of jatropha oil. This is already published in 2020, and you can see the title here. First step is epoxidation of jatropha oil, because in this part I only use jatropha oil. So this is just a usual way to epoxidize oil. I didn't optimize it, but I only use some extreme condition to make sure that all the double bonds are converted into epoxide. The next step is the reaction of epoxidized oil with furfurylamine. So what I want to do is minimize the blue path in which the furfurylamine react with the esters, and I want to maximize the red path in which the furfurylamine react with the epoxide. So it is how I did it. I didn't use any fancy equipment. I just heat the mixture, and besides the epoxidized oil and furfurylamine, I also added lithium bromide in some of the reactions. So I performed the reaction with 3 factors, 2 levels, full factorial experimental design, and I did it for the reactions without lithium bromide, with 5% of lithium bromide, and with 50% of lithium bromide. You can see that I varied temperature, reaction time, the ratio between epoxide and amine, and also the level of lithium bromide loading. I combine these variations according to this square. You can see that time can be 24 hours and the temperature 30 and 1:1 ratio, or we can also do 24 hours, 80 degrees Celsius, and 1:5 molar ratio. I did all of these 3 times because I used 3 levels of lithium bromide loading. This is how I analyze the product of the reaction. I use proton NMR to analyze the products, and I observe some peaks only. So here the C peaks are related to the epoxides, and the B is related to the esters. So by doing reaction with the furfurylamine, the epoxide and the ester peaks, their intensity decrease, while there are new peaks appear, like the peak next to the old ester represent the new peak at which the esters are reacted with furfurylamine, and the E, F, and G peaks represent the furan groups of the reacted furfurylamine. So I calculated the success of the reaction by using conversion. So I divided the initial peak area of the epoxide and ester peaks, subtracted by the new area of the peaks, and divided by the initial peak area. While for furans, I calculated the actual number of furans attached, divided by the theoretical number of furans attached when all the esters and epoxides reacted have furans on them. So these are the reaction products. So the blue bars represent ester conversion, the red bars represent epoxide conversion, while the green bars represent furans attach. The esters usually react more with furfurylamine, but in this one in the box, we can see that the red or the epoxide conversion is higher than the ester. When I added 50% of lithium bromide, we can see that we have very high epoxide conversion with quite low esters conversion. So according to the statistical analysis of the reaction products, I can get this trend of epoxide conversion, furans attach, and esters conversion. From these trends, I can find out that to maximize the epoxide conversion and furans attach and to minimize ester conversion, I have to use slightly higher temperature, low molar ratio of furfurylamine loading, long reaction time, and high lithium bromide loading. So by using those suggestions, I did these 4 reactions and I managed to get one with reasonably high furans attach. And why do I want to have the high epoxide conversion and low ester conversion? Because if I have high ester conversion, then the polymers that was obtained was very brittle, I couldn't bend it. But if I have this structure with a lot of epoxide conversion, then I can get quite flexible polymers. And then this is the second part of my thesis, synthesis and application of the polymers. Here I wanted to tailor the mechanical properties of the polymer, so I used mixtures of aromatic bismaleimide and aliphatic bismaleimide. And aromatic bismaleimide gives rigid structure, while aliphatic bismaleimide gives flexible structure. So here I use both oils from jatropha and sunflower, and I mix the aliphatic and aromatic bismaleimide according to these compositions, and these are the sample codes. So we can see that the more aromatic bismaleimide we use, then the more brittle it becomes, and the more aliphatic bismaleimide that we use, then polymers become more flexible. Here's the TG of the polymers. The jatropha oil has lower TG, while sunflower oil has higher. With increasing aliphatic bismaleimide, then we decrease the TG. The sunflower oil have higher TG because they have higher cross-linking density, but they are also very brittle. I also investigated whether the polymers were reversible or not. So these are the FTIR curves, polymer obtained at different temperatures. It was taken from 24 degrees to 150. We can see here that the intensity of several peaks related to Diels-Alder change during heating. These are the peaks related to the Diels-Alder reaction. The first one on the left is the Diels-Alder adduct. At 150 degrees, the intensity of the peak is low because the Diels-Alder adduct was converted into furans and malamides. While for furan and malamides, at 150 degrees, the intensity of the peaks are high because they are highly available from the product of degradation or detachment of the Diels-Alder adduct. These are the changes of the peak areas of Diels-Alder adduct during heating and cooling cycles. So we can see that at 150, the number of the intensity of the peaks are always low, indicating that the retro Diels-Alder happened. And when we decrease the temperature, then the peak intensity increase again, indicating that the Diels-Alder reaction was performed. This is the changes of the intensity of a furan peak during heating and cooling. So this is the opposite. So at 150, the intensity is high, and at low temperature, at 50 here, the intensity is low. So here's the malamide peak, and the trend is similar to that of the furan. This is the application of the polymers as adhesive. I tried to bind two aluminum sheets and then I pull them apart with this configuration, and I compare my polymers with a commercial glue. Then I could see that my polymers had slightly higher strength than the commercial glue. Besides this application, I also tried in my PhD research to make composite from the polymers, and I also used the polymers to modify thermally reversible thermosetting polyketones to improve their self-healing abilities. This is my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.